What's going on YouTube? Josh here, and we are back at it again. So in this video, I wanted to talk about my must-haves for clinical. So I know there are a lot of different videos out there on what to take, and I've seen videos where people are talking about the bags that they take to clinical and some of the supplies. So I'm going to hit my must-haves and talk about some things I think are a little bit different than most people suggest, or things that are not often suggested. So number one, and I know everybody says this, is to have a great pair of shoes. I started off with, I think there were some K-Swiss shoes. My school requires that they be all white, so that already limits some of the shoes that are out there. And I started with those, and about halfway through clinicals, I realized that they were hurting my toes and hurting my feet. And by the end of clinical, they were getting really heavy. You know, we're doing 12-hour shifts, and we're on our feet for a majority of it. So I switched over to On Running, and I got a pair of all-white Clouds, and I used those for my last few, and they are amazing. They're super light, super comfortable. They're typically running shoes, but you can use them for, you know, all-day wear, and I just had a much better experience with them. The downside is they are mesh, so they're not going to protect your feet from, you know, needles or anything like that, any sharp objects. So if that's something that your school requires, or is, you know, highly recommended if you're in an area where you need to watch out for sharp objects. The K-Swiss ones were leather, so a little bit more protective, but again, they hurt my feet. It may be different for you. The other thing is compression socks. And honestly, a lot of the videos I had watched before starting nursing school didn't suggest compression socks. I actually got them from Nurse Liz, and she is an FNP up in North Carolina. She has some great videos out there on all sorts of stuff, and I think she does a weekly vlog about her life as a nurse practitioner, and I'll put a link for her channel down below. But compression socks are a huge benefit, especially being on your feet all day. So the ones that I like are the copper tone, I think they are, and I got those from Walmart. And those worked really easy, really well. They go on pretty easy, but and they're not super tight. They're perfect for me. So those are ones that I would recommend, and they're not too expensive. The other thing is, obviously, you have your stethoscope. I use this belt clip for my stethoscope, and one of the reasons that I like it is that when your stethoscope is hanging around your neck, and you're assessing a patient, I don't want it to accidentally hit them, or, you know, be contaminated by something, a wound or a drain, any drainage or leakage or anything like that. So I like having it on my hip. It just makes it easier for me. So I think mine was like 13 bucks or something. You can get them on Amazon, but I found it really useful for my stethoscope. I also didn't like putting my stethoscope in my pocket because they are a little bit heavier. And if you don't have pants that have pockets, that's obviously an issue. Or two, if you already have a bunch of other stuff in your pockets, that can really weigh down your pants. Which brings me to the next thing that I use, which is a fanny pack. So this one's an Oakley, and they call it a training belt bag, but it's essentially a fanny pack. And one of the girls at clinical was making fun of me last time. Last clinical, calling me a dork and a dad. But for me, it was really helpful because it stored a lot of things that I didn't necessarily need like super quick access to. But if I wanted access to it quickly, without having to leave the bedside, I had it right there with me. And it kept things out of my pockets so that it didn't weigh my pants down. And that was a major concern of mine. So this one has 3 external pockets on the front. See if I can get it in the picture. 3 external pockets on the front, and then 1 on the back. And then on the inside of the big pocket, there's another pocket on the inside. here. So what did I keep in mind? I had my ID. You can use it to hold your phone if you're allowed to bring your phone onto the floor. I was not allowed to. If we had our phone on the floor and we got caught with it, we were going to get sent home. So just don't even risk it. I left my phone in my car. But inside my big pocket, I had a notebook for taking notes, like if I was doing assessments or if I was taking vitals on a bunch of different patients. I could write them down and then double check them later if they didn't upload to the computer, because they would upload wirelessly. But sometimes it didn't work, right? I had a little Snellen chart, and this also has a bunch of other useful information. So like a little cheat sheet booklet. I have a pocket pharmacology book that tells you dosages, what medications are used for. I found it useful at times. And then my clinical, we had to create drug cards every week based on the patient that we were assigned. So I had those in here as well. And then one of my instructors had made a list of nursing diagnoses, NANDA nursing diagnoses. So I kept that in there as well, just to kind of keep that in the back of my mind as I was doing my my charting and stuff like that. In my other pocket, I have a bunch of pens, my pen light, and my trauma shears. And that just kind of kept those organized and prevented me from losing them, from falling out or whatever the case may be, or leaving them behind somewhere like that. And in the very front pocket, I just kept some alcohol swabs. That way I wouldn't have to keep running back to get them. I just had them in my pack, and I could just easily pull them. And then on this particular bag, there's also two little pockets on the side here that you can store stuff in. So I had like my car key or money or, little things like that I could keep in there. I found the Fanny Pack really useful, and I actually got the idea from my clinical at a long-term care facility where one of the CNAs was carrying a Fanny Pack. And I was like, man, that's a great idea. You can keep everything in there, keep stuff out of your pocket that you don't need like right away. And it allows you to carry a lot more stuff without weighing down your pants. And then the Nomad nurse, Crosby, he says he uses it for the ER as well. So that right there just kind of validated it for me. So those are my must-haves for clinical. Let me know what you guys use in clinical. I'm done for the quarter as far as clinicals go. I don't start back up again until October. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions about anything else that I carried on me, just hit me up in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next time.